Remove the pins. So, where we're going to stitch, we're going to stitch along the neckline, trying to keep our seam allowance, and down the two sides. We are not joining here, and we are not joining the shoulders right now. Okay, let's begin. So here we go. You put your foot. Usually, if you place your foot at the edge of the material and the needle is in the center, it will come down at about 1/4 inch from the edge, which is our seam allowance. Right, so we're going to do a straight stitch down there. Just keep your eyes on the foot and the edge of the material. Once you keep the foot on the edge of the material, you will sew in a straight line. Reverse a bit, just a stitch it, and we come down. So keep your eyes on the foot and the edge of the material. You can hold your material back here to sort of steady the material, because sometimes it could cause a slight bit of pleating or gauging if you just let it go flat. So you can just hold it, just keep it firm. Don't pull it, don't stop it from moving, but just keep it nice and firm. That's it for your stitch. So sometimes you would cut off there, make sure it's long enough to cut off, or you can cut it later. This can be a bit tricky for those who are sewing for the first time. So we go down, we try to stop a little way past this point, because we're going to go across there. So we want to keep the same distance from the edge all the time. So we go down a couple stitches, maybe 2 stitches past that sharp point. We lift our foot. We do not lift the needle. Just spin the cloth on the needle. Don't lift the needle. If you lift the needle, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you. Then you sit it down again once you line it up how you want it. And you notice, yes, it's lining exactly, the foot is lining exactly with the edge, so it means that we have kept the same distance from the edge. So we keep going. This will take a bit of practice, so don't be worried if you don't get it the first time. You have to practice, right? So you go again a few stitches past the edge again, because you're going to turn again to go up this way. Keep the needle down in the material, lift your foot, turn the material. Put it to sit again, and yes, we see almost there, right? Everything is flat and nice. This may come out, extend a bit, because if in the cutting, sometimes in the cutting your material shifts a little bit. So we notice that on this edge, everything is flat and nice, and there's still a little edge. That's okay. Just let the needle stick with the inner edge. At the edge of the foot, sorry, stick with the inner edge. So we're going again. Again there. And so we have finished putting together I went ahead and cut off here, right? So we're going to put the other piece. As I said, we are joining the neck and the two sides. We are not stitching the underneath. We are not stitching the shoulders yet. So let's go. turn these things over because this is a face and this stitching must not show in the finished product. This has to be turned over so the seams are inside. Now to turn over this, we cannot just turn it over like this. If you ever try it, you realize that it puckers at the corner. So what we do, we just make a little slit. Be careful that you don't cut the thread. You go as close to the corner as you can. Do not cut this thread because then you have to sew it over again. It's going to rip right there. Right? Go to the other corner. Look at the direction. Slanting it inwards towards the point as close as we can get it. Right? Do not cut your seam. Right? And you understand as you turn it over now why we needed to do that. Right now it's looking kind of funny and you do some ironing to get it. So here's how your corner should look. And because if you did not cut that slit there, this would not be looking like this. And you would know if you tried without cutting the slit how that would look. So what we're going to do now, we're going to hold these firmly. We're going to run a base stitch, flatten it out and run a base stitch to keep it up. And iron it, steaming it. One of the very important things about knit sewing is to include ironing in whatever you are doing to iron your seams. It makes a big difference. Sometimes you make a lot of mistakes, but because you iron it, it looks so neat and nice, nobody notices, not even you. Okay, so we're going to turn over, and we also have to make slits on this curve for the same reason. We don't want puckering when we turn it over. For a curve, it's a little bit different. You may have to make 2 slits on the curviest part of the curve. So that's how I do it to make sure that it's first one here, and sort of into the curve. It's okay, just go. Don't cut the seam, go as close as you can. So let's turn it over and see how it looks. So we thread our needle here. We're using a thread that easily could be seen on the material because a base thread is a temporary something. We want to remove it when we are finished. Right? We're gonna really be basting this because we want it to remain flat while we iron. And so it's a big stitch, it's a temporary stitch. We knot one side only, we just use one thread. We start here. It's a big thread. Keep on the end, press out your seams because that's the reason why we are basting it. We want to keep the seams flat. So when we iron it, it will be nice and neat. No need to knot because you want to remove the thread easily. You will just pull this knot here when we finish. Alright, so again, to start, now take your time, press it out. We want this to be nice and flat when we iron it. Looks great. Right, make sure you don't remain, nothing remains in your seam. The material is folded tightly around the seam. If you don't do that, iron it. Okay, what we're gonna do now is join the shoulders. Now we can't just stitch the shoulders like this and flip it over. It looks very untidy underneath. This is not usually the way we do it. You want to do it in such a way that you would not see any stitching on either side of this. So how do we do this? It's very easy. We have to turn over, and I would suggest we turn over the back because it's easier to turn over the back. We turn this over. So we have the back on the wrong side once again. We take the front as is, we don't turn it over, and we push it inside. Right. Make sure it remains flat here and it doesn't double up inside. Right. Bring it over here. So what you can do, you can base it here if you don't want it to slip up. And you can base it here. So make sure the edges line up here. And you're gonna base it across here because you want to stitch this here very neatly, but you don't want it to shift. So just base it quickly for those of you who, and even for those of us who have been sewing for some time, this usually shifts easily. So you want to keep yourself neat. So like this. Now, this is important. Keep the inside edge as close as possible to that outside seam. This is important. If you don't do that when you turn it over, you will see one part a little it wouldn't line up properly, the edges. So you must pay attention to that. And so that is why cutting is important. If these shoulders are not the same size, it will not line up here, and therefore you would not get the result that you want. Make sure the seam fits exactly or directly onto that top seam. It will be a bit difficult to get that. And if you don't get it the first time, don't worry about it, but that is your aim. Every time you do it, you try to get that effect. So now we're just going to stitch along the top here, the seam allowance. Okay. So we're going to join the top here as I showed you all the base of it, and we're hoping to get a good result. Once you take your time and base here, it should be alright. So we're starting on the end here, and we must make a knot right where the two seams will be joining. You must not there. It's important. It will. When you child wearing uniform over time, you will see it pulling apart at that point, so you must do that. If you do it a couple times, better. You continue along. You notice I keep a little distance away from the edge and make the seam allowance a little bigger. This is advisable too because stress will be at that shoulder point, so you sort of want to give the fabric enough space, the seam enough space. Right, we're going to knot again, as I say, where those two seams will be meeting. If you do it a couple of times, will be more reinforced. Okay, so that looks alright. So we're going on to the other shoulder without cutting off. We just continue. We cut it after. So again, we're knotting carefully at the time as we start and we go down. Trusting the Lord. Alright, good. So not too much. Let's see how it came out. We want to remove our base thread. It's not really important to do it because this is the wrong side, but still. So I'm not sure if we want to just. Right. So now what I also advise when we turn over things like these is to cut away excess cloth from the corners so it doesn't bulk when we turn it over. So you sort of do not cut your seam, but you can go close and sort of just chip away at the corners. So it doesn't bulk when you turn it over. Right, so let's go. And you just go inside. Remember we had to turn over this, we're going to turn it right side again. See? That is the one of these. things when you do it like that. Sometimes get it. So I was telling you all about keeping the inside edges close. So if you don't take your time, this is what I mean. I tried my best, but I don't know. But this is what happens. You get a little lip extending sometimes. It doesn't look that bad because it's the back piece.